So I just want you to know, most of these guys and some of the students here today, they don't wake up before 10 o'clock sometimes. So it's a miracle they're just even here today. So I'm glad you guys came today. So that's why we have youth group at 7 p.m. instead of 7 a.m. You know. But then now, come up here for a minute. We got some things to do, some youth group things to do. Before we dismiss, first I need. No, we're going to do that too. But see, we do a lot of work here. It wouldn't be possible. Go for it, baby. I need Amanda Schmuck and the Berries, and if Jason's here, if he's not, that's okay. If y'all can come down for me, that'd be awesome. See, teenagers are a lot of work. And I could do it by myself if I had to. But I just don't want to do it by myself because that's a lot of kids by myself. You know, some of you may have 1, 2, 3, 4, more. God bless you for that. But if you've worked with teens or kids, you know that they can be hard. But, you know, I'm one person, and so when I have multiple people, it's easier to pray with students or go to students that are dealing with things, because if 5 people are wanting, DC, pray for me, I can be like, hey, Kev, go pray for this person, or Manny, go pray for this person. It makes it a lot easier that they know, okay, I trust these leaders too. And so I want to bless you guys today. It's not a whole bunch, but we got Culvers in town. Here's one for you and your husband. Here's one for you and your lovely bride. So let's give them a hand clap for helping what you do. And before we dismiss, we got one more thing to do. In Frontline, you know, when there's a new student, we bless them. And go for it, baby. Tell me the rest of the story.
So there's this student who signs in every single week, but he's never actually in service. You have a sign-up sheet, he filled out a card, but he never came into service. Mike Seward, will you come down? He is our longest reigning Frontline student, but he has never been in service. He signs in every week, and we have something for you, my friend. You can come down and sit. 2. So if you don't know this, we play video games sometimes in youth groups because we deal with teenagers. Right now, our reigning champ is Jaden. You can sit down. He came in, showed up, brand new kid. He's getting sponsored by Red Bull right now. He's awesome. But before Jaden came, an adult showed up and he beat all our kids. We have a belt, Ryan Libby, the 2018 reigning Madden champ. You gotta come on down, Ryan. If your parents say they can beat you at video games, they actually mean it. Don't try them. And then secondly, this lady, I almost invited her to youth group when I first met her because I thought she was a teenager. She's actually a parent. That's my bad. But she actually is in youth group every week. We just don't see her because she's watching my kids. She watches my kids for camp all week long. She watches our kids for convention. She watches them every day at Sunday school. She gets up early just to help us. Vanessa Libby, come on down. Come on down. I know you're shy. So, Mike, will you come on up? So at Frontline, when you're new, the youth group, we get to ask you some questions, and they're personal. So Frontline, do you have any questions to ask our new Frontline students? Any questions?
I got one for you guys. What's your favorite football team?
Oh my God. What's your favorite football team? What is your name? I'm sorry.
Vanessa.
Frontline, say hello, Vanessa. Vanessa, what is your favorite football team?
The Raiders.
Okay. I'm sorry, what's your name?
Ryan.
Everybody, Frontline, say hey, Ryan. Ryan, they might not know this, but what is your favorite football team?
The Oakland Raiders.
Oh, okay. What is your name?
Mike.
Everybody, Frontline, say hey, Mike. Mike, what is your favorite football team?
I don't watch football.
He gonna be one of them Frontline. He gonna be one of them students. We always get them. It's okay. Any other questions, Frontline?
What's your favorite food?
Well, as you can tell, there's not much I don't like. I don't like macaroni and cheese, and I don't like mushy vegetables. Everything else is game.
Ryan, do you have a favorite food?
It's a tough one. I'll go with fajitas.
And Vanessa, do you have a favorite food?
Anything Italian, mainly Alfredo.
Preach. All right, so do you have, whenever you're new to Frontline, whenever you bring your friend, you get free Clovers on us. This is for ice cream. You deserve it. Free Clovers. That's for Scoop of the Day. And here, oh, did anybody invite you to youth group? Anybody? No? That's a shame. Because you could have got ice cream. That's a shame. But you guys can sit down now. Thank you so much. Give our new students a hand clap.
All right, kids, you can be dismissed and have fun in your class. It's going to be awesome. Sorry, making sure my phone is on silent so I don't get a call from God while I'm up here, like, diddling. I'm just playing. So before I go into my message today, every so often we do something called Might Night in the youth group. That's where a student can come up and do an art piece or sing a Christian song or Christian rap or a poem. But we have a student who asked to speak today. So he's going to share a few words. Can I have Mr. Ben come on down?
Forgive me, it's on my phone because it's a lot quicker. So, I'm Ben. Many of you know me. I'm a junior at Tomah High School, and I'd just like to thank Pastor Kirk, Pastor DC, and any of the teachers in the room, because week in, week out, day in, day out, you guys get up in front of people and talk, and as you can tell, I'm just a little nervous. But today I plan on giving a testimony of just how amazing God is. So, as far back as I can remember, my life has been a roller coaster. Up, down, left, right, spins, twists, everything and everything you can throw at me, I've probably, dealt with it. But no matter where that roller coaster took me, I always came back to one spot: God. In Deuteronomy 31:6, it says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you, and he will never leave nor forsake you." At times, I didn't believe this. Many times, I've gone through life, and somebody who's been in my life forever has just gone just out of the blue. For example, on January 30th, this roller coaster took a drastic turn. January 30th, 2008. It was later at night, and I almost positive we had just eaten dinner, and so it was me, my grandma, and my brother, and we were all in the living room. I don't know where my grandpa was. He may have been at work or already in bed, and there was a knock at the door. And it wasn't just a friendly knock. It was, they're there for a purpose. And me being the quick one to go and answer the door because nobody else wanted to get up, I don't blame them. They got up, I got up and answered the door, and when I opened the door, there were two men standing there in uniforms, both having their hats on, and they went, "Can we speak to Linda?" And they came in, they took their hats off, and then went, "Ma'am," and like that, she started crying. I'd never seen her cry. I'd seen her cry in church just because, God's great. But she had started crying, and I didn't know why. And when she started crying, I started crying. And then she sent us to our rooms so she could talk to the two men who now I know that they were marshals. They were talking to my grandma, and I couldn't tell you how long it lasted, how long it was. It seemed like it was forever. But she finally called us back out, and the two men had left. And she sat both me and my brother down, and she had to tell us the breaking news that my dad had passed away in jail. I knew my dad wasn't the best guy, but he was my dad. So, I was crying. It was so heartbreaking that it was just, blood was drained out of her face, and immediately, I was bawling. But I was told that he had died of a heart attack, and later I come to find out that actually wasn't what had happened. But, at 6, I lost my dad at 6 years old. The last time I saw him was 5 days beforehand on my grandma's birthday. From then, my life wasn't always the easiest. I wasn't treated bad, but if there was a punishment to be given, I was usually the one given it. If something was wrong, I was the one to get yelled at because I was the oldest one, and and I had to work as hard as I could just to be looked at as okay, because I was smart in school, I was athletic. If you gave me an issue, I got through it like that, especially in school. My brother was nothing like that. If you gave him a math problem, where it would take me 2 seconds, it'd take him 20, depending on the math problem. But I always got through things so much quicker, so I was more put off because I knew how to do the things. I knew how to do all my math, do all my English. I knew how to do everything. And I knew I wasn't the favorite child. Yes, parents do have favorites. I knew I wasn't the favorite, and it just seemed like every now and again, if we were at the store, he wanted something, I wouldn't get anything because sometimes I wasn't the most respectful child. But God was always there, and I always knew God was there, but I wasn't really always in church. I'd get dragged along when my grandparents went because I was 6 and I couldn't tell them no. When I would spend the night at my uncle's or my aunt's or just about anybody who went to church, I was dragged along just because I couldn't tell them no. But it was, where am I? Oh, it was really after I got out of elementary school and started middle school and everything that I actually understood who God was, because when I was little, it's whatever. I didn't understand it, so it was, just right over my head. I learned that God was always there, and God was always right by my side, that whenever I actually needed him, because I can be way off over in that corner, and all I got to do is step over and I'm right with God. I can be as far off of that path, down my own path, away from his, and all I got to do is say, hey, I need you, and I can be put back on that path. It was Christmas in 7th grade, and we got a more expensive Christmas present that year. We each got our own tablets. And with the tablets, I had a bigger screen to play video games on, which was great because iPods aren't very fun to play video games on. But I could also look different things up on Google. And the one day, I wanted to see a brand new picture of my dad because the ones on the walls were getting kind of old. So I looked up his name, and scrolling through for however long I was scrolling through, I actually found a picture that was my dad, because we all know Google, it has everything else on it. So I searched him, and I clicked on the first picture that I saw of him. And I knew he wasn't the best guy, so I knew that the mugshot wasn't really out of place. But then I looked at the caption below the picture, and it said, "Lacrosse Tribune, inmate found hanging in jail cell." Everything I had been told seemed like it was a lie. I didn't know what was true, what wasn't. So I had to look. I was just looking back and forth at the picture and the caption to make sure it was actually true. Like, I didn't want to believe it. And then I clicked on it, and it brought up the link, and I scrolled through it, and I went, really? I walked out to my grandma, and I showed her the picture. And I went, "Why didn't you tell me?" And she goes, "Tell you what?" And me, I loved my grandma, and I would never throw something at her. Tablet was about this size. She's sitting on the chair, and I go, "That." I just threw it at her. I looked at her, and I went, "You never told me." And I walked back into my room, and I started asking God the question, why? Why did you do this to me? But it wasn't always God. My grandma was trying to protect me. And, it was whatever. And when I finally calmed myself down enough to actually be able to go and talk to her, she said she was trying to protect me, and that's just what parents do. So she explained that to me, but I never actually forgave her. I said I did just so she'd drop the subject, because she was kind of annoying. But I never actually forgave her, and I wouldn't say I forgave her all the way, but when she died on July 17th, 2016, I couldn't forgive her anymore. She was gone, so I couldn't actually say it to her face. And I looked at God, and again, I asked the question, why? He'd taken so much from me, but he still wanted me to go and follow him. Like, it just doesn't always work like that. Like, it was so confusing. Like, you're ripping everything out of my life, but I didn't realize that he was actually putting other things there for me. He was putting so many other people in the place of those two. So many other people that could teach me anything and everything. But he took away the one person that I could turn to and tell anything. My question was, why, God? And after that, I held so much weight, and I was a dead man walking. I didn't feel anything. If you were to come to my house, you could find me laying on the couch doing absolutely nothing. I was just in that down state. I didn't want to do anything. If you wanted me to do something, you kind of had to drag me to do something. I was just dead. And this was right before my freshman year. which absolutely was horrible and horrible timing. But he took me from that teenager that said, "Why God?" to "What's next, God? Let's keep going, God." And just to prove how amazing he is and how much of imagination you sometimes have to have. We were at camp and the speaker had wanted us to get in groups with our youth group, but I didn't really want to because some of the kids were kind of annoying, so I didn't want to go with them. But I got in a group with some guys that I had met at camp that year, and he'd had us talking, and then he had us pray, and we're all huddled up with our heads together, and I stopped praying, and I looked up and I went, "Okay, is there anything that's wrong that you need prayer for?" And I was saying this to the group of guys, and the one kid looks up and he goes, "Yeah, my mom's gonna die." But I didn't know, he had seemed like an amazing kid, super bubbly, super smiley. His mom was an alcoholic, and if she didn't stop drinking, she was going to die. And it just, how amazing God was. And those guys, I didn't think, you don't think that thing. You don't think that kind of stuff. You don't think that this person's going through that, or this person's going through this. You don't always think that. And I was just like, wow. And then at youth group the other night, gone through service, and I was just fine. And then the instrumentals for Corey Asbury's Reckless Love started playing. And I went, really? I was just fine all service. And now you give me this song. Thanks. I didn't want to cry tonight. So I went over to the wall, and I was just out of it. My knee was hurting. I was just like, you throw this song at me now, I just wanted to leave. But DC came over to me and he went, "Is there anything you want me to pray about? And I went through my mind, I can't talk now. Like, I'm a mess. And he goes, "I think there's 4 things. Your calling." I can't remember the other ones. There were 4 things. But all 4 things he hit spot on. All 4. Like, how do you know what's going through my mind right now? Like, it seemed so weird, but at the same time it seemed amazing. Like, I didn't know exactly what was happening, but God is just so amazing. And the calling, I don't want to do it. I absolutely don't want to do it. He's called me to be a pastor, and I hate being up in front of people. Like, I'm finally just now getting unnerving from all of it. Like, I don't like being up in front of people. But it was like, why do you want me to be a pastor? I can do so much more. Like, I can go into business and make all this money and donate it all to these other charities and help so many other people, but you want me to be a pastor? But, now that doesn't seem so bad. Like, I'd rather be able to help that one person on a personal level than help all these other people and not be able to see it. I'd rather help that one person and change that one person. Like, I've been changed from that kid that didn't want anything to do with God, didn't want to touch him, didn't want to look at a Bible. I hated God because he had taken so much from me. But he's also given me so much more. He gave me my intelligence to go out and pursue business, but also be able to do different things in a church. Do so much more. And it's just so amazing how God can work through people that you don't think he could work through. Yeah.